Hi everyone, welcome to a session on post-humanism. My name is Dr. Shamima, Department of English, Amal College of Advanced Studies, Nilambur. I would like to start with a few questions. Why do we talk about post-humanism today? Why the post-human now? What exactly do we mean by the post-human condition? Is it the new 21st century philosophy? We talk about post-humanism today because the impossible has become possible. Humans can fly, we can communicate with great distances. Mobile phones and Facebook and computers have become our extended self. The digital revolution has metamorphosed the very existence of the human beings today. Let's now look at what is post-humanism. Post-humanism, broadly speaking, is a philosophical framework that questions the primacy of the human and the necessity of the human as a category. It is also a new evolution of thought and a new epistemology which goes beyond the boundaries of our existing thoughts and realities. Also, it refers to a set of ideas which started emerging around the 1990s. We have seen so many post-human existence today. So broadly speaking, it is also a theoretical concepts which evolved from various fields and various ideas. Critics and researchers are doing so many research on this specific condition now. We have post-humanism as post-human thinkers interrogated the anthropocentrism because during the post-human era, anthropocentrism became a conflicted term exclusively because the post-humans rejected the Western idea of humanism. As we are all familiar with, humanism was part of the Renaissance ideology, and humanism was also part of the Enlightenment project. We are all familiar with it, right? So what happened during the humanist era? Humanism was not an innocent concept which actually promised a better life, a better earth, and a place, a utopian place where we can live equally without any gender consideration, without any racial discrimination, and without all forms of bifurcations. But when we look at the history, or history as a story, the story is very different. We went through a lot of atrocities. The world has faced so many issues, and when we look at humanism as a principle, as a very promising principle, we can say humanism was not innocent at all. Even critics mentioned this idea because humanism or Renaissance humanism was largely concentrating on, or it was intertwined with, the ideas of sexism, racism, gender discrimination, war, and all. So, to say that post-human philosophy completely questioned the primacy of human as an agency, the primacy of human as a self at the center of everything. We can see it here that the human is intertwined with things like colonialism, sexism, and racism, and post-humanism blurs the essential human identity. Let's go to the next idea where we have the term post-human, which has to be contested, which has to be deciphered, and which has to be discussed in a better manner. For that, we have the famous post-human thinker, feminist thinker, who wrote the book, The Philosophy of Post-Humanism. We have Francisca Ferrando, who defines the term post-humanism. Let's have a look at it.
Hi everyone, my name is Francesca Ferrando. I'm a professor of philosophy here at NYU, Program of Liberal Studies, and I'm a post-human philosopher. That's why it's very exciting for me to share with you today the notion of the post-human. So I'm going to address in this video the question, what does posthuman mean? Some of you may have found the term in an article or in a video or at a conference, and you may ask yourself, but what does posthuman mean? That's a very relevant question in the 21st century, and it's a question that can be addressed from a philosophical perspective in many different ways. Why is that? Because the posthuman is an umbrella term. Posthuman is an umbrella term that is defined by many different schools of thoughts in different ways. Which ones are these schools of thoughts that we are referring to? Well, there are many. On one side, we can see, for instance, post-humanism. So posthumanism is a philosophical movement which is happening right now, which addresses the topic of the posthuman. We can also think of transhumanism. Now, when I'm talking about posthumanism and transhumanism, don't think that these are only one specific movements. I should address them in plural, like posthumanisms and transhumanisms, because each of them is developed by very different schools of thought within. For instance, according to transhumanism, we have democratic transhumanism, we have libertarian transhumanism, we have extropianism, we have the singularity, and so on. So you can see already that this movement is one but many. That's why I'm talking about transhumanisms, although all these schools of thought do share some of the same notions that we are going to see more deeply in the second video of this mini-series. What about posthumanism? Also, posthumanism is not one but many. We should refer to posthumanisms. We can think of critical posthumanism. We can think of cultural posthumanism. We can think of philosophical posthumanism, among others. And I'm going to refer to these other movements in the third part of this mini-series, mini-lecture. There are other movements here. We can think of anti-humanism. As well, not one but many. There is Marxist anti-humanism. There are many different types of anti-humanism as well. We can think of new materialism. We can think of meta-humanism, and so on. Now, is this confusing? Yes, a little bit. Is this exciting? Of course it is. It is very exciting to reflect on a topic that is happening right now. Why there are so many different groups of people thinking about this topic? Because the posthuman.
Yes, now you have seen how she explores the various strands of posthumanism. We have critical posthumanism. We have another strand like transhumanism. We have also the Marxist perspective of posthumanism. So I think it might take another session to discuss all those, but I recommend you to go through the book which is titled The Philosophy of Posthumanism by Francisco Ferrando, which is a recent work in this discourse. Now, I would like to invite your attention to two very important discussions and contributions to posthumanism which happened recently. The first one is the idea of the Cyborg Manifesto. You might all be familiar with Donna Haraway. Donna Haraway is best known as a postmodernist, and she's also a feminist thinker. She's a social activist. When we look at her essay, A Cyborg Manifesto, we see that she explains the concept like this, as it reads, "A Manifesto for Cyborgs" by Donna Haraway. We quote, "We are all chimeras, theorized and fabricated hybrids of machine and organism. In short, we are cyborgs." So when we look at this concept, we are familiar with the cyborg industry, the cyborg culture, and we have seen cyborgs as creatures and individuals in cyborg movies or in futurist movies as well. So this is a point of discussion from which each student or each researcher can probe into the area of postmodernism in a better light. So she contributed much to the theory of cyborg culture, and which comes under the umbrella term posthumanism. Now let's have a look at the more recent contribution done by the famous historian Yuval Noah Harari. Perhaps some of you might have read his work, the work titled Homo Deus, A Future of Tomorrow. That is the complete title. So Yuval Noah Harari is of the opinion that we as human beings is a product of evolution. And we have been familiar with Darwin's theory of evolution. And we have been listening to so many kinds of evolution that happened upon the human being. So when we look at this, let's see what he says. The post-human thinker Yuval Noah Harari predicts that we as human beings, we will upgrade step by step, merging with robots and computers in the process. That's a very interesting idea, because which has already happened with the digital revolution. As I already mentioned, mobile phones and computers have become our extended self. Our identity differed from the previous identity. We have no essentialist identity as humans, because it's a problematic term. There is no human at the center of the way of existence that we see now. He also continues like this way. In the 21st century, the third big project of humankind will be to acquire for us divine powers of creation and destruction and upgrade Homo sapiens into Homo Deus. So we have become Homo Deus, no more Homo sapiens, a generation, a subject which has continuously faced evolution, and we changed in all possible ways. To conclude, we know that advanced technologies and virtual realities are an integral part of our lives, and digital devices have already merged with our bodies and minds. In such a context, I would suggest posthumanism will be a better solution, will be a better theory which can better explain our nature of existence and our nature of identity. Thank you. I conclude here. We'll see you in the next session with more extended talk on posthumanism. Bye now.